Trump's back and so are his tariffs. But before you panic about inflation or the economy tanking, hang tight. Because what if this chaotic-sounding tariff whipsaw is actually setting the stage for something big and bullish? Yes, the media's screaming threat, uncertainty, inflation. But we're flipping the script. In this video, we're breaking down how Trump's tariff moves, love 'em or hate 'em, might just light a fire under U.S. manufacturing, push tech innovation, and surprisingly, help cool inflation in the long run. So what's the real story behind the tariff whipsaw? Why could it actually fuel America's next growth cycle? And how can investors get ahead of the curve? Stick around, because we're unpacking it all. No jargon, just the juicy insights, and trust me, by the end of this video, you'll see this chaotic chess game in a whole new light. Before we dive in, kindly take a second to hit the like button. It really helps to support and to grow my channel and keeps us bringing you the latest market insights. Thank you. President Trump is shaking things up again with new tariffs aimed at China. And while headlines scream about rising prices and economic uncertainty, there's a bigger story here you're not hearing. Yes, tariff rates just jumped big time. Some reports now show China facing import taxes over a 145%, and U.S. tariffs overall hitting levels we haven't seen since the early 1900s. At first glance, that sounds like trouble for your wallet. Higher prices on clothes, electronics, maybe even groceries. But zoom out, and something interesting happens. These tariffs, they might be a short-term jolt, but in the long run, they could drive more homegrown production, boost U.S. jobs, and even rebuild American industries we gave up decades ago. And while some economists warn about price spikes, like turning T-shirts into the new eggs, others say this could rebalance trade and set the stage for real economic strength. So is Trump's tariff chaos a threat, or a hidden trigger for the next American boom? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this so-called trade war might just end with a bull market surprise. Let's talk about the U.S. tariffs being the highest since 1903 under Trump's revised Liberation Day policy. The highest tariffs in over a century since 1903, and they're back under what Trump is now calling his Liberation Day policy. But what does that actually mean? To some, it sounds like economic self-sabotage. But if you dig deeper, it's actually a radical shift toward economic independence. Trump's goal? Cut off reliance on China, bring supply chains home, and fuel a new wave of American manufacturing. Yes, prices might rise in the short term, but in the long game, this could spark a revival. One that rewards local businesses, reshapes global trade, and even puts the U.S. on stronger footing in the fight against inflation. Liberation Day isn't just a slogan. It's a bold bet on the American economy, and it could turn today's tariff pain into tomorrow's market gain. Fresh numbers just dropped, and there's good news. Inflation is finally cooling off. In fact, core prices just posted their slowest rise since early 2021. Even better, overall prices actually dipped last month, the first time that's happened in nearly 4 years. Sounds like a turning point, right? But not so fast. Economists are warning that this may be the last clean inflation report we see for a while. Why? Because new tariffs on Chinese goods are coming fast, and they could stir things up again. Even with a short 90-day pause for some countries, the U.S. just slapped major new tariffs on China, pushing trade costs to levels we haven't seen in over a century. Unless companies quickly shift supply chains to new regions like India, Vietnam, or Mexico, those costs will hit businesses and eventually your wallet. But here's the twist. These tariffs aren't just about raising prices. They're part of a bigger plan to reshape global trade, reduce dependence on China, and push manufacturing back to U.S. soil. So yes, inflation risks are still on the radar. But with smart supply chain moves and domestic investment, the long-term outlook could be more stable and maybe even more resilient than we think. Right now, we're navigating economic waters we haven't seen in decades. The way these tariffs will actually affect prices? Still a mystery. There's one word that keeps popping up: uncertainty. And it's everywhere. Political shakeups, unpredictable trade moves, and shifting alliances are making it harder than ever to predict what's next. Even though the U.S. job market has stayed strong, adding millions of jobs over the past year, investors are nervous. Wall Street's not just watching interest rates anymore. Now it's watching trade policy like a hawk. Why? Because if these trade tensions spiral or drag on too long, they could trigger something we all want to avoid. A recession made at home, not by a virus or a war, but by our own economic decisions. But here's where the opportunity comes in. If companies adapt, if supply chains shift smartly and fast, this moment of uncertainty could actually fuel innovation, investment, and a stronger, more independent economy. We're on the edge of a major shift. The question is, will it break us or build the next chapter of American economic power? There's one word that gives economists nightmares: stagflation. That's when growth flatlines, prices keep rising, and jobs start disappearing. It's rare, but not impossible. And right now, it's creeping back into the conversation. Why the concern? Because we've seen a few red flags recently. Slower growth data, sticky inflation, and surprise policy changes like proposals to downsize federal jobs under the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, backed by none other than Elon Musk. Combine that with trade tensions and unpredictable tariffs, and Wall Street is on edge. Investors are starting to price in the risk of a slowdown that doesn't come with relief at the checkout line. And what's the Fed doing about all this? For now, they're in a holding pattern. No aggressive rate hikes, no cuts either. Just a cautious wait-and-see stance as they watch how these new economic shocks ripple through the system. But here's where it gets interesting. If inflation starts rising again because of tariffs, and the economy slows because of policy missteps, the Fed could be stuck between a rock and a hard place, unable to cut rates and unable to raise them. That's why the coming months will be critical. If you're enjoying and finding this helpful, please take a moment to like this video and share it with your friends. Your support helps my channel grow and allows me to bring you even more valuable news. We're entering a phase where every policy decision, trade move, and market reaction matters more than ever. So what happens if tariffs push prices up again? A lot of analysts are saying it's not just possible, it's likely. According to top strategists, a new wave of inflation could easily be sparked by rising import costs. That puts the Federal Reserve in a really tight spot. Sure, markets have been hoping for rate cuts this year, 3 or maybe 4, but that hinges on a big if. Unless we see serious cracks in the job market or major financial stress, the Fed may not have the green light to act aggressively. Bottom line, the central bank is being cautious. Chairman Jerome Powell has made it clear they're not rushing into anything. Translation, the Fed's watching every data point: jobs, prices, trade moves before making a call. And with so many unknowns, they're keeping their options open. Cut rates too soon, and inflation could spike. Wait too long, and growth might slow down too much. It's a high-stakes balancing act, and the outcome could shape markets for the rest of the year. So yes, there's uncertainty, inflation risks, and a whole lot of noise in the headlines. But don't get it twisted. This could be the shakeup that sets the stage for America's next big leap. From stronger domestic production to reshaped supply chains and smarter trade strategies, this isn't just a challenge, it's an opportunity in disguise. And those who see the shift early? They're the ones who come out ahead. Markets may wobble, policies may pivot, but the long-term story? It's about resilience, innovation, and the rebirth of American economic power. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button to let us know. Share it with a friend who needs a fresh perspective, and don't forget to subscribe for more straight-to-the-point, big-picture insight on markets, money, and where the economy is headed next. This is just the beginning. Stay informed, stay sharp, and as always, keep looking forward. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.